No, this is fresh. This has nothing to do with Roblox. This drama was unfolding while I was lifting, and I was reading about it in between sets. And then the second I finished working out, I just hopped on stream. I didn't even bother showering, which is why I look so goddamn greasy right now. I felt like J. Jonah Jameson, who just got some pictures of Spider-Man committing a crime. High school drama? Don't pretend like it's not entertaining. And to be fair, if they do try and sue for defamation of character, that's a big deal. I think that would be the first case of a streamer suing another streamer for defamation based off nothing. Pokimane was just showing clips and DMs that Ninja and his wife actually said, and now they're threatening legal action via defamation of character. So LSF has just become full-blown TMZ today. It's nothing but the Pokimane and Ninja drama, which is fine because I'm super invested in this soap opera for now. I think I pulled up all the relevant clips. So this is patient 0. This is where it starts, 4 days ago. To give context, Gideon is the streamer that recently just got banned because he had his community go to Pokimane while she was streaming and spam L plus ratio or whatever happened there. It was a harassment campaign according to the Twitch terms of service, so he got banned for it. 4 days ago, he was on Ninja's stream, so this was before he got banned, and this happened.
Nothing negative. No okay. L's. Don't spam your chat to rate someone and spam L's. Don't rate. If you're gonna ratio bitches, and that's not. Oh! He called her a bitch! You stick to Twitter. Alright, maybe some TikTok, L spam. You'll get away with it.
Hey, say less, Ninja.
Twitch, dude.
Say less, Ninja.
You didn't call her that. He didn't call her
no,
that.
No. I said me. Me. That was my. I meant bitches in general, as in like you.
The desperate backpedal. So, Gideon, this was right after his hate raid on Pokimane, which got him banned. This was right before that happened. So he dropped gift subs to Ninja and had his community in Ninja's chat. And Ninja said, you know, you can't send people to harass him if you're gonna ratio bitches, do it on Twitter or whatever. And Gideon took that as Ninja calling her a bitch. And to be fair, that's what it does sound like. You know, I don't think Ninja would say, you can't send a harassment campaign to bitches if he did it to like Mizkif or something, right? So Gideon took it as Ninja's calling her a bitch. And today, Pokimane was just going over this entire drama. She just explains the situation of this clip I just showed you. She doesn't take any liberties or spin it in other ways. She literally just explains it.
You can't run around raiding bitches on Twitch. Which Dijon obviously immediately takes as Ninja calling me a bitch. And Ninja then says he meant bitches generally. I wonder if Ninja would have said bitches if it was a large male streamer that was hate rated, but I digress.
I didn't even know Ninja said bad words.
About it. He then says, like verbatim, the most I can do is text my Twitch representative about this. And then he proceeds to do just that.
So that's where it all started today, from an event from 4 days ago. And Ninja and his wife/manager were not too happy about it. So that isn't a baseless claim. On stream, he said that he can text his... Where was it? It's somewhere here. Here. He said that he can text his Twitch rep to help Gideon out, and then he proceeds to do it, or at least pretend to do it on stream.
Bro. Alright. I sent the text. I don't promise a goddamn thing. Because at the end of the day, what happened happened.
So, like, actual anime villain shit. I swear on my grandfather's life, who just passed away, that I didn't text my Twitch rep, and you are making a big mistake. I can literally see him writing that as he's, like, doing this with his hands, twirling his mustache. Like, and he pretended to do it on stream, so if he really didn't text him, he could have just said, yeah, I pretended to do that on stream, in order to look cool in front of Gideon. But he's not saying that, he's just outright denying it ever happened.
Jaw on the fucking ground, bro.
Yeah, so the strategy was they denied it happened. After Poki proved it happened, Ninja's manager/wife's response was this. And this is what makes it so entertaining as a spectator sport. This was dangerous. There could have been a council of cock here, but I took the risk. Yep. Fucking threatening a lawsuit for defamation of character for literally just describing what Ninja publicly did and showing clips of him doing it. Why does it have to be something like, who cares, this isn't going to change my life? Well, I mean, neither is watching The Mandalorian, but it's still fun. He wants views, it's the meta right now. I don't think he did that. I don't think that was his plan. Gideon was watching, Ninja didn't want to look like a bitch, so he was, he puffed up his chest a little bit. He's like, hey, check this out, Fortnite kids. Don't ratio bitches. oh, and then he like backpedals really hard. He's like, uh-oh. And then his wife made everything significantly worse. And then trying to like intimidate or abuse the legal system for some reason is even sillier. Have Twitch streamers / managers ever tried to sue you for dumb shit? Onision pretended to be his own manager once to try and sue me. But it didn't really work because he made a lot of spelling mistakes in his lawsuit, and it was pretty clear he himself wrote it. Real quick, Charlie from the future, still super greasy. I just wanted to further explain. The defamation of character lawsuit is in direct response to Poki literally just explaining what she saw in Ninja's clips. Poki didn't do anything further. She never said that Ninja called her a bitch or anything like that I see a lot of people spin it on Twitter. She literally just said, Ninja said, can't ratio bitches, and Gideon thought Ninja called her a bitch. All of it does sound like high school drama, but not because Poki did it. Like, it's not her fault. She was literally just talking about the clips, and for some reason, people lost their fucking mind, and Jessica eventually threatened a lawsuit about it. And then Pokimane claiming that Ninja sent a message to his Twitch rep is again backed up by a clip of Ninja doing just that, or at least pretending to on stream. So the big deal of this defamation suit is how goofy it is, considering there's no argument to even be made here, because Poki never defamed his character or made shit up or lied about Ninja. Poki literally just explained those clips as she was going over this whole drama to her audience. All she did was say exactly what happened in those clips. People like to pretend that anytime sexism is brought up, it's not real, but you literally only have to look at any situation involving a girl, and you can see a very, very, very different response. Every time something happens with Poki, it's always the same shit. Whore, must be a tier 3 simp to this bitch. She's too busy sucking dick to give a good take. Who cares? Dumb bitch. She's wearing makeup. Every time. That doesn't happen when it's a dude. Like, no one's saying that shit about Ninja. Like, you don't see... Ninja right now is the one that's getting blasted, but no one is making statements like that. But they do about Poki or any other girl when it involves them. You can pretend that it doesn't happen. I understand the copium, but it does. Like, it literally does. It is just a fact. It's not the majority of people, but it is a very loud group of them. Even though in this situation, I don't know how anyone could take Ninja's side. All Poki did was go over Tyler's fucking clips and explain the clips. There was no misinformation. The one absolute defense against the defamation lawsuit is truth. And all she did was watch him say that he is sending a message to the Twitch rep. So this would be the quickest payday for Poki if they actually tried. Poor millionaire streamers. I wish people would stop saying that. It's entertaining. It's just entertainment. I don't think anyone's actually upset. Like, oh my god, now Ninja's gonna lose money! It's just, look at Ninja's stupid tweet, or DM where he said, you made a big mistake, Buster. Did you see the girl who's selling her shit now? Oh, you're talking about the poop jar. Yeah, so that girl that was selling her farts, now that she's retired due to medical conditions, there's a girl who's now selling just her shit. Like her actual poop. That one's not as interesting though, she's clearly just riding off the other one's coattails. I will say, I think the person that's most upset about Jessica sending this DM is Ninja. I bet Ninja was so upset to hear that his wife threatened a defamation of character lawsuit. He's not a dumb guy. He knows that this is a stupid idea. I bet she did this completely without him knowing, and then he hopped on Twitter, he's like, fuck, this is becoming a big deal, hopefully nothing escalates it further, refreshes and sees this and just cries. Just sat there, tears in his fucking eyes. Because he can't just publicly be like, yeah, my wife did something silly. Now he has to sit there and be like, yep, guess I'm going to court. Like I said, having your wife as your manager makes very, very emotional. It's way too attached to the actual drama. This was one of those things where she was just seeing red and sent this thinking that it'd be enough to make Poki like delete her clips or something and brush it all under the rug. And this is exactly the shit I'm talking about. Someone shoot Poki in the eyes, someone free Gideon. That's the exact shit I'm talking about. It happens from Zamius. Happens every time. Whenever it involves a fucking woman, people get so upset. That dude's entire post history was Poki's a bitch, a whore, makeup wearing whore, and then the last one right there, free Gideon, someone shoot Poki in the eyes, please. Happens every time, and people pretend that it's the same with like Ninja. You don't see anyone saying that kind of awful shit about Ninja. That's the point I'm making, and people get upset when I say it. It is a real thing. Now granted, Zymius doesn't speak for the whole community or anything of like Gideon fans, but it is a loud portion that says that shit. And I don't know why people try and like pretend that it doesn't happen. Again, it's not the majority, but it does happen. Yeah, so as of making this video, it's like 2-day-old drama, so it's fucking ancient now, but I just wanted to at least get it out there because I am curious to see where it goes. If they actually do pursue a defamation of character lawsuit, that would be an actual big deal. So anyway, that's about it. So yeah. I'm sure you've already heard the tragic news. You might still be in tears about it, and I'm not really here just to reopen the wound and pour salt in it, but I think it's important we talk about what's going on. Last night, Pokimane was banned from Twitch. She was banned for watching Avatar: The Last Airbender on stream, but she took it like a champ. She was making a joke about it, saying the Fire Nation attacked, but they're releasing her in 48 hours, so she got a 48-hour suspension for it. This DMCA was handed down by Viacom, the fucking boogeyman of the internet. You do not want to mess with Viacom. If you even think you accidentally saw a clip of something Viacom owns, make sure that you scrub everything. Call your fucking lawyers immediately, and make sure when you go to bed, you're sleeping on your back. You don't want to sleep on your stomach in that case, because Viacom will come in while you're asleep and fuck you in your ass. Viacom is ruthless with how it enforces its rules and its copyright. Viacom will go through your goddamn 8th grade report card, check your SAT scores, look for any parking violations you might have had, and they will just look for anything to slap you with and ruin your life over. They are truly relentless. You might not remember this, but back in 2007, Viacom sued YouTube for $1 billion. Viacom alleged that YouTube was engaging in brazen copyright violations where they were profiting off of their copyrighted work with all of these creators uploading their material, which is illegal. And they sued YouTube. It took 3 years for the first decision, which was in YouTube's favor, but then Viacom came back. Some of it was overturned, but ultimately in 2014, YouTube did come out on top. But while YouTube may have won, creators still lost, because do you know what came as a result of this? The automated copyright system, which is still being abused and broken to this day. This situation's super similar to what's happening on Twitch right now, with creators brazenly engaging in copyright violations where they're knowingly broadcasting copyrighted work in their entirety, and they know full well and openly admit that it is a DMCA problem and they just want to see how far they can push it. And when people bring up that this could have a bigger impact on the site than just their personal streams, they usually are just met with the streamer saying they don't really care. They'll just take the DMCA ban for 2 days and then be back like it's no big deal, which is a pretty selfish and silly take, because there is clearly a history they can look at to see how it negatively impacted the entire platform. I'll get into that a bit deeper in a moment, but just off the top of my head, if I had to quickly spitball a potential apocalypse, like an upcoming doomsday if this problem continues, I feel like Twitch might just revert to how it was back in like 2015, where they outright frown upon reaction content on their platform, where they don't really allow YouTube videos to be played and watched on Twitch. Back then, if I remember correctly, even some big streamers did receive like some warnings or even a ban from watching YouTube content. The meta for watching and reacting to content back then was you'd have the big screen, like the main screen, be RuneScape or League, whatever game, and then a small box in the corner for the YouTube video you were reacting to. That's how people skirted that policy, where they just didn't like them doing that back then. So I feel like if this trend continues of just watching full movie series, full TV shows, full seasons of anime, Twitch might just rip the condom off and say it's not worth it anymore, we're not taking this risk. We obviously can't trust our streamers to watch shit on the platform anymore. They're just blatantly disregarding DMCA laws. We're going to pull the plug on YouTube and reaction content, because as more companies get alerted to this, it could be more of a disaster for Twitch. They might just feel that it's better and safer for them to just not allow it. Again, it was frowned upon back in 2015, early Twitch days. YouTube as a streaming service already doesn't allow its streamers to watch YouTube content on there. Ludwig's been banned fucking 3 times in a row for it. So the precedent's already there, where watching YouTube content on other people's streams, is in a super weird gray area. And by these big streamers constantly poking this bear of like, hey, we don't care about DMCA, look what we're doing, it could be a much bigger problem for not just them, but everyone. Because if Twitch does go this route and get rid of reacting the content, that hurts a lot more than just the top 20 biggest streamers. That's a big blow to like everyone who streams on the platform and does more than just gaming from time to time. Again, not saying that's going to happen, but I could definitely see it as a possibility. And she's not the only one that's just been watching full movies and TV shows on stream. It's become kind of the Twitch meta at this point to just watch entire movies and anime. So this whole thing led to a bigger conversation of people asking how stupid are Twitch streamers. Just a lot of people online everywhere just saying how fucking dumb streamers are. This is something I think everyone saw coming. I don't believe there's anyone in the world that's surprised by this DMCA here. I don't think anyone just fucking shot back in their chair, just shocked and spilt apple juice all over themselves going, hey, what do you mean I can't watch my favorite streamer watch the new Spider-Man movie that they downloaded on the Pirate Bay and stream on Twitch? What kind of bullshit is this? What happened to freedom? Obviously, watching full movies, TV shows, and anime is going to get you in trouble on Twitch. You can't do that. Thinking otherwise is like believing in the fucking tooth fairy or flat earth. Like, there is very clearly a line of things you can and can't watch on Twitch. And watching the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy uninterrupted is definitely crossing that line. I'd like to go ahead and quickly jump into the fair use debate and tackle that bad boy, because I see a lot of people defending this by saying this falls into fair use. Fair use is a law that's fucking lost all meaning to people on the internet. It has been bastardized beyond recognition. Fair use means less than the word literally now. People use this for defense of everything, even when it's not applicable, like in this case. You can't take, like, Jake Paul versus Logan Paul boxing match. You can't take that and put it on Twitch, even if you're just commentating over the whole thing. You can't do that. You may have paid for that match, but you can't just freely broadcast it to people who can't, no matter what you do to it to transform it. That is no longer fair use. Fair use is applicable when you're taking pieces of copyrighted content for critique, for review, for satire, for parody. You can take pieces of it and showcase it for your points on the topic and transform it, but you can't just take the entire copyrighted work, like the entire Avatar: The Last Airbender show, and freely broadcast it to people that haven't paid for the service to watch it. That's not how that works. That's not protected by fair use. Like right now, the front page of Twitch is kind of looking like the old artifacts section from a couple years ago, when that was basically just this cum dumpster for pirated movies and porn. If you guys remember that, Artifact, God rest its soul, used to be this place on Twitch where you just go and watch like the new Avengers movie or watch porn with the chat. It was wild time. That's kind of evolved now, and now we're reaching like its final evolution, where now the biggest streamers on the platform are just watching, you know, pirated content or just full movies and shows that they may have purchased and are now rebroadcasting for people that haven't, which is a problem. So I'm not going to name any names. I'm not here to snitch. Even though it's not like some kind of well-kept secret, this isn't something flying under the radar, because a lot of the top 20 biggest streamers on the site are the ones watching this anime and TV shows in their entirety. This isn't exactly something that's going on in dark alleys and talked about in hushed whispers. There's like fucking 40,000 people per stream watching the streamers watching anime. So it's not exactly like you have to go to fucking deep web to find it. It's literally like on the front page sometimes. But even still, I'm not going to name any names here. I'm not here to raise my hand in front of the class and call somebody out for chewing gum or anything. Now, it's no secret that I also watch a lot of YouTube content on my Twitch streams, watch some clips from shows on my streams. In fact, last night I did a YouTube night at twitch.tv/moistcritikal, baby. We got real fucking wild last night. You definitely don't want to miss it again. I'll put a link in the description to the streams. When I'm watching YouTube shit on stream, it's usually really obscure shit that has like less than 1,000 views, filmed on a Motorola Razr, or it's content that I'm pausing to talk about in order to make a topic out of or joke with the chat about it. Like, for example, when we watch the scary, haunted, cursed videos, like Nuke's top 5 ghost sightings that'll make your mother spit on you because she's so afraid of these videos. I'll pause it, talk about paranormal garbage, or joke about the video back and forth with the chat. and usually just like to make it a transformative piece where it never really feels like I'm just rebroadcasting someone else's content. I just usually like to stay away from like the big TV shows and shit like that. But now in the past, I haven't. You know, like 2 years ago, I used to watch a lot of MasterChef, which has become the trend on Twitch right now to watch MasterChef. I was doing that fucking 2 years ago, baby. I was the pioneer, the goddamn founder of MasterChef. I made that goddamn show, damn it. So yeah, like back then I would watch MasterChef and shit, and even recently, like a year ago, I was watching the Yu-Gi-Oh! Singapore dub, which again is definitely in that gray area of is this DMCA-able? And the answer was probably yes. It was an unofficial upload of the Singapore Yu-Gi-Oh! Dub that I was watching because I thought the Singapore dub was great since they only had like 4 voice actors to do the entire show and they did it in English, where the translation was dreadfully wrong. Like Blue Eyes White Dragon was called like the Blue Lizard Platinum Squirter or something. It was a lot of fun, and I did react to that content on Twitch, but yeah, that was probably a DMCA risk as well. So I've steered clear of that for the last year or so because I want to make more of a conscious effort to not skirt this gray area that would lead to maybe a potentially bad situation for the whole platform. But with this trend right now, the new Twitch meta to be just broadcasting copyrighted material, there's a big problem that can arise from this, and I'd like to get into it now. So, like with the YouTube versus Viacom case, that very well could happen on Twitch with what's going on right now. And who knows if it will or not. Maybe it really will just be people getting DMCA'd for 2 days here and there if they continue to do it, and that's where it ends. They wash their hands of it and it never goes further. Every streamer was losing their minds about the DMCA because of music, where they'd have like copyrighted music that would play in the background and they get a strike or ban for it from years of content. And people made such a big hoopla about it, like, this is unreal, this is so, we hate the DMCA, we don't ever want to mess with them, we're so afraid of them, so everyone deleted all their clips and scrubbed their VODs. And now fast forward to today where they're openly encouraging DMCA to, like, enforce rules on the Twitch platform against them. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's very similar to the Viacom versus YouTube case, but I also think Twitch is in a worse spot than YouTube was because Twitch can't make the claim YouTube did of they don't know whether or not the content being uploaded is paid for and licensed or if it is illegally uploaded. Twitch knows all of it that's on Twitch right now is illegal broadcasting of copyrighted material. And they can't pretend they don't know what's going on because it's the biggest streamers on the platform that's doing it. And even in some of the streams, Twitch staff will literally subscribe and engage in a conversation about the anime. I've seen that in a couple streams now, which is, it's fun and goofy, but it's also illegal. So Twitch can't make the same claims YouTube did back in 2007. They know all of it is not licensed because the streamers are very forthcoming with their honesty that we know this is DMCA, but we don't care. They're openly saying we're just pushing it to see how far this meta can go. It's obviously a very dangerous game to be playing. While I don't think Twitch will ever see an automated copyright system like YouTube implemented, it will probably see something equally as strict. If I had to guess, if this does continue, I would imagine Twitch at some point will just outright ban the watching and reacting of other people's content on their platform. I think that's the most likely result if this problem continues or even escalates, and as more companies get alerted to it, I feel like that's really the only thing Twitch would do. That'd be their only course of action. Because right now, the way it stands, Twitch just says, we don't take responsibility for what they're broadcasting. If you have a problem with it, you will manually go and take it down. And that's worked so far, but that's because most streamers have understood not to just play movies and TV shows. Up until like 2 weeks ago, that's just been the understanding streamers have had with Twitch. Like, hey, we know that you're giving us a lot of leeway with what we're allowed to watch on Twitch, so we'll return the favor by being smart about what we're actually watching on stream. And then fucking the dam broke, the floodgates have opened, now everything's being streamed on Twitch by big streamers, partnered streamers. And that's a bad look for the platform. So if their hand is forced, I feel like the direction they'd go is they just ban watching YouTube altogether. Like, for instance, during one of those YouTuber boxing events, it got rehosted on Twitch, and that was kind of a nightmare for them. But they managed to get themselves out of that one, again, by saying, like, hey, we can't control everything here. And back then, the channels that were rehosting that material, which was illegal, those were small channels that were literally throwaway bot accounts, not your big partnered streamers. Now, if your big partnered streamers are doing this, now it's a lot more serious that Twitch has to be like, hey, we're going to probably need to do something or else we might face bigger consequences. Again, might not happen. I'm just saying it could. Either way, it's pretty obvious that this is a pretty bad idea overall, and something that I wanted to talk about because it would affect me. I'm on Twitch every day. I stream every day. I do YouTube nights like once or twice a week, and they're a lot of fun. I like to watch a lot of weird and wacky content. And if something does come from this that impacts that, I'd be upset. So yeah, just wanted to bring all this up. That's about it. So yeah. I just learned about a really weird situation involving Pokimane and a creepy employee of a major company, and it's left me feeling the same way I felt when I was a young sprout that watched Inception for the first time. Confused. Usually when I'm talking about things on the internet, I like to set the dinner table to prepare all of you for the meal we're about to consume together, give you like little cliff notes on what the whole thing is about, but in this case, I just can't. My tiny little smooth reptile brain can't fully grasp what exactly happened here. It's such a wild web of wacky, shady, sketchy shit that it's just not computing in my little noodle here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start playing some of the clips and do my best to break it down because it's a really interesting and strange case.
Someone that I and many streamers have been working with for years, someone who was also employed at a large company in the industry, has targeted and manipulated girls, specifically in my community, by falsifying a romantic and sexual relationship with me.
Now, Pokimane treats their name like Voldemort. She doesn't speak it. She doesn't talk about who the employee is in order to protect the anonymity of the victims. Admittedly, I don't really understand that concept, considering if this is a powerful, prominent figure in the industry, I feel like it would have been a great service to actually name and shame them so that way people know to avoid them in the future. But I'm not familiar enough with the situation to say for sure if that actually was optimal. Maybe this is the right way of playing it to keep it clean and safe for everyone. I don't know. But anyway, this Sith Lord of Cringe was a high-level employee at a company that was big into the streaming space. Most people are speculating it was a former Twitch employee, and if you held me down and waterboarded me and forced me to make a guess, I would also say it was most likely a former Twitch employee because Pokimane mentions that this person had a lot of connections with a ton of streamers, and there's just not many brands that work with a lot of streamers that they'd share in common. So I feel like the most likely answer is a former Twitch employee. And let's just face it, let's just be honest with each other here, alright? There's no reason to beat around the bush. I don't need to serve you syrup on your pancakes, I'll give them to you raw. There are some fucking creepy Twitch employees that have worked there. It's just the facts. This would not be the first Twitch employee to be a weirdo that has abused their power. There have been cases where some lower level employees have done very sketchy things in their position, and this would kind of fit that modus operandi of someone doing something similar.
Leaking privileged information he gathered from his job, as well as threatening to harm himself if these girls turn against him. He is well networked in the industry, he knows many streamers, he has helped us with many things. This was someone that we were genuinely grateful for their help. A few months ago, a few girls in my community came forward to me with some concerns and asked to speak to my manager. They proceeded to send my manager countless screenshots and videos of their conversation with him, proving the lying and manipulation that was going on.
The more Pokimane explains this person, the more I picture them as an unhealthily obsessed parasocial weirdo Reddit fanfic loser drooling all over themselves for a streamer because they're so delusional that they think they're entitled to a relationship with him because they donate money. But in this case, that stalker creep type actually had power. According to Pokimane, this was someone that they had worked with for multiple years now and had actually used confidential information from their conversations to try and manipulate Pokimane's female viewers into liking him somehow. This is where his supervillain plan makes no sense to me. It is more confusing than quantum science. So his plan is to reach out to Pokimane's female viewers and let them know that he is dating and having sex with Pokimane, and then fabricating screenshots to prove it in order to what? Like, how does that further his goal of getting laid, I guess? It makes no sense. We're dividing by zero trying to understand what this guy's thought process was. Pokimane explains that he would reach out to the female viewers, inform them of his relationship to her, and then what? Like, what was his end goal? I don't get it. Like, if it was other streamers, I would almost understand it where he reached out to them to try and like form some kind of business relationship. Like, oh, hey, I saw you in Pokimane's chat. Well, I actually fuck her. So, you know, you can trust me. I know what I'm doing. And I also work at this company. Like, that would almost make sense. And I guess maybe that is part of it. But she doesn't single out that he only reached out to streamers. He apparently reached out to just anyone in her chat that was female. So, like, this guy was casting the widest net imaginable, just swiping right on everyone on Tinder in Pokimane's chat. And then letting them know that he's dating her and they're sexually active, making love together, I guess. And then he'd even trauma dump by saying that he's suicidal in order to try and force them into a sympathetic situation where they'd feel obligated to communicate with him and stay in touch with him. Otherwise, they'd be afraid that he'd fucking kill himself, throw himself off of a goddamn rooftop or something if they ignored his Discord message. Like, this guy is just a fucking weirdo scumbag, and his plan doesn't make any sense.
So basically, he would reach out to girls that he knew were like in my chat or viewers of mine. He would approach them, and because of his connections with streamers and the company he worked at, he seemed like a very trustworthy individual. He would then tell the girls that he's suicidal and deals with mental health issues, which of course would garner him a lot of sympathy. And again, these girls are so sweet, so of course they would hear him out. And then once he felt that he gained their trust enough, he would start sharing these photoshopped Discord conversations with me. Like, he would share it with them, but they were of me and him, as well as making up like wild stories about me. He acted like he knew and hung out with me and my friends in person. This is someone I've never met.
Again, what the fuck was his plan? It doesn't make sense. If his whole thing is about, I'm dating Pokimane, so you can trust me, and I also work at this company, so you can like turbo trust me, give me a big fist bump. I'm just here looking out for you. I saw you in her chat, and I thought, man, being the benevolent saint I am, I can help this girl. That's why I'm reaching out to you. But then what? Like, you're already conveying you're in a relationship with someone, so why would they then be enticed to try and, like, hook up with you if that's the goal? If the goal was, like, to get pussy or whatever. It just, none of it makes any sense at all. This is, like, actual, like, deranged lunacy.
He fabricated all of this just to manipulate these girls. He claimed that his relationship with me made him suicidal, and he used this to make the girls feel like they couldn't turn their backs on him. He told elaborate stories of our alleged sexual encounters in detail to girls that are like in my community, use like inappropriate photos, like nudes that weren't of me, and he would send them to the girls and say that it was me. He also leaked confidential information to these girls to gain their trust.
What a master scheme from Megamind here. Hey, here's Pokimane's nudes. So, do you want to work with me? Like, I don't get it. So he'd Photoshop nudes or deepfake nudes, potentially, and claim that they're Pokimanes to the girls in her community to try and manipulate them into being his friend and then romantically getting involved with him. Like, how does that work? Like, how does sending nudes claiming that they're Pokimane lead to those girls you're sending them to being like, wow, I can't wait to fuck this guy. This guy's having sex with Pokimane. I need to have sex with this guy. Like, what in tardation is going on here? What a load of hooey. This dude ate way too much glue growing up and then got addicted to porn or something because what the fuck? It doesn't make sense. Now, it's not that I'm doubting it happened. I absolutely do believe this happened. And it does highlight an issue where when someone like this guy does get in a position of power, they have the ability to abuse it. She mentions that he'd leak confidential information. She goes on to give an example where he would leak what she'd make off of a brand deal. So he would tell these girls in Pokimane's community, here's what Pokimane's making off of this brand deal. As a way of being like transparent and making it seem like, wow, this guy knows his shit. So he would leak confidential shit, which you can't do, obviously, and faking the nudes and everything in order to, for some reason, manipulate them into wanting to be with him. All of it is so fucking weird. So bizarre.
Afterwards, he would then try to develop romantic and sexual relationships with these girls after gaining their trust. He would hit on them, offer to fly them out, meet up in person, buy them gifts, ask for inappropriate photos of them after sending them fake inappropriate photos of me.
This is so fucking stupid. This guy is an absolute imbecile. Here's some naked photos of Pokimane. Now, can you send me pictures of your boobies? I'd like to see your titties, please. Madame, would you like to come out to my neck of the woods? I'll fly you out, and we can discuss more of Pokimane's nudes together. Because as you know, I'm in a sexual relationship with her, of course. Like, none of it makes sense. Like, it is so wild and such a shitty thing to do, and it doesn't even make sense why he'd do it in the first place, because the plan itself is nonsensical. It's so weird. So weird. So he disclosed the confidential information about, like, brand deals and money like that after reaching out, like, cold calling like a fucking telemarketer to just women in Pokimane's chat to try and earn their trust through pretending to be suicidal and in a relationship with Pokimane, and then somehow that's supposed to translate to them flying out to him to have sex. How? Why? It's so fucking weird. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this because I've been racking my brain on it for a couple hours now. I heard this, or I saw these clips a couple hours ago, and I've just been stewing on it, just marinating, trying to really get a grasp on what the fuck actually was going on in this dude's fucking brain to do this goofy shit. It's so weird. So I just wanted to share it. That's about it. See ya. In here. Pokimane started a snack company called Mina. It's focused on selling healthy cookies right now with her Midnight Minis. And immediately it fell into controversy because the price point is very high for some cookies. $28 for 4 packs of cookies, which comes out to about $7 per bag. There's also a lot more moving parts to this drama because a lot of people started to recognize the similarities between Mina's Midnight Minis and Totesi's Midnight Cookies as well. The ingredients on both of these are pretty much the same, except Mina has some added vitamin D. It's extraordinarily similar. Even just giving it the old eyeball test, it looks like the same product. So a lot of people were saying this is a white labeled thing, which is pretty normal in the influencer space. But she's selling her cookies for much more than the Totesi Midnight cookies. So I'm not here to just really dive into the nitty gritty on the cookie drama itself. There is so much information on it. She's also come out to try and explain that her Midnight Minis are a refined version of those Totesi Midnight cookies. Like hers are like improved, which is why they're more expensive and this and that. That's not really what I'm here to dive into and get into the weeds of. She recently went on stream today and I think did the worst possible maneuver you could ever do when trying to sell something to your audience.
When people are like, oh my god, $28 for cookies? It's 4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyways.
Matt was actually the one that sent me this clip today, and I just assumed this had to be some kind of bad joke she tried to tell, but watching the clip, it seems like she's legitimately upset and actually just calling people that don't want to pay for it or can't afford it broke. That's an elite gamer move that I had to take a step back to process that she would just say that publicly. I was so dumbfounded upon hearing that I actually went back to her stream VOD where this happened to try and locate this moment to see what happened next. Because this is only 20 seconds. I thought there was a chance that right after it, she's like, no, just kidding. I'm pulling your leg, hardy har har, just a joke. She doesn't do that.
Like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyways, moving on. Moving on.
我是相信你的能力的，只是现在需要更多的人看到。
If you want to pay $8 for Twitter Blue for some pixels, that's okay. That's fine.
我不能再让你们帮我了。
You spend your money how you want.
可帮到现在，
I'll spend mine how
什
I
么都
want.
不是，
And everyone else will spend theirs how
我
they
不打算
want.
经营花
That's the
店了，
beauty
也不打算画画了。
of having
这样，我给你点时间，你好好想想，行吗？
She is.
That seems to be where the topic died, at least from what I've skimmed through here. So it doesn't really seem like she was doing this as some kind of, like, side-splitting comedy bit about, like, broke boy, haha, you know, just kidding, I actually love my fans. She does giggle about it afterwards, but it feels more like condescending. And then she just says, moving on, moving on. Like, it's just a really shitty thing to say. And then she does what a lot of other people do, which I find really weird, which is mentioning Twitter Blue for some reason. Like, Twitter Blue offers this dog shit service for $8. You spend your money on some pixels, whatever. You spend your money how you want, and I'll spend my money how I want. Well, yeah, nobody's forced to purchase your product or anything, but they were having a legitimate discussion on the price just being a little out of their comfort zone for what they'd want to spend on it. Like, it's a discussion her own community was having, and then she just, out of nowhere, out of left field's like, if you're broke, just say so. It's like, what the fuck? I have no doubt her manager and her whole team saw this clip and just together took off their hat, stood up, hands on their hips, and they're like, you know what? It was a good try. Hey, we gave it our best whirl. Like, they had to have seen this, and then immediately, like, the office went up in flames. I don't know what would possess her to say something so rude and nasty to the audience she is trying to sell this product to. To directly shame the consumer that you want to buy into your product is a galaxy brain tactic. A strategy that I'm not sure the success rate of. Like, $28, no matter how you spend this, is a lot for some fucking cookies. And I think the way she keeps trying to break it down and rationalize it is pretty disingenuous. It's $7 a bag, and that's still expensive, but then you also have to factor in that the bags aren't even big to begin with. It's 4 ounces per bag. 4 ounces of cookies for $7 is still a lot, especially when you compare it to the product that they're basing it off of and supposedly approved upon, the Totsi Midnight Cookies. Those were $10 a bag for 14 ounces. So even though the Totsi Midnight Cookies were $3 more per bag, they offered you 10 ounces more of product. And they were sold in Costco. A lot of people really enjoyed them, but most people didn't like the price. That was a pain point of that. $10 for a bag of cookies is a lot. So $7 for a smaller bag of cookies, significantly smaller, is a lot too. Like, it doesn't matter how you boil down this math. All roads lead to this being an expensive product. That's the brass tacks of it. That is the hard pill to swallow. There's really no way of spinning this where $28 for a 4-pack of these cookies isn't expensive. It is. And to try and call people broke for not buying it or not being able to afford it is really some out-of-touch shit. And the really foul part about all of this that my little noodle will never be able to wrap itself around is a streamer calling their audience broke or poor. Bub, your wealth was built on their backs. Them watching you supplied you with money through the ads that get played to them. Them directly donating to you took their money and gave it to you. If they weren't watching you, you would be getting no sponsors, which make up a lot of streamers' income. You need them, and you are dropping trouser and shitting in their mouth right now by just insulting them over them having legitimate criticisms over the price point of the product. It makes no sense. Your wealth was accumulated because of these people you're now calling broke and poor. It is incomprehensible to me. You were made from these people that you are now shaming. It's so weird and so fucked up. Now, again, $28 for a 4-pack of cookies is a hard bargain. This is already priced out a normal consumer. This is purely for your fans that want to support you. So they are the only ones that will likely be buying this. $28 is not going to be like mass adopted by just normal snack shoppers and enthusiasts that want a good healthy snack, I don't think. It is a lot, even compared to other healthy alternatives. Because I do get healthy snacks. I know what a lot of these prices are. This is still an expensive product. I wouldn't be paying $28 for a 4-pack of cookies unless that came with 5 strippers and legitimately every vitamin and nutrient my body could ever need, and then guarantee that I'd get 3 inches taller by the time I finish the 4 bags. Now, that's not saying that the quality of the cookies is bad or something. Like, they look good. They might be extraordinary. I probably would enjoy them. They're probably pretty tasty. But they are an expensive product that I probably wouldn't pay for. This is definitely something that is 100% geared and marketed towards her audience of fans that want to support her, and now she is publicly shaming a big chunk of them, I imagine, who don't want to spend $28 on some cookies. Like, it's a very fair thing for people to talk about. Like, hey, Pokimane, this is kind of a lot for the cookies. And for her to go on stream and boil it down to people being idiots who can't do math or a broke boy is just, it's so mean and just bad. Like, not only just from, like, a personality perspective to say some shit like that and shame people that support you, but it's also just bad from a business perspective because this is all sold off of your reputation and people wanting to support you, and now you've done a huge disservice to that here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's something that 3 years ago she criticized another streamer for. Like, it seems like she recognizes that insulting your audience for their financial situation is a horrible thing to do. Because 3 years ago, she made these tweets in response to someone who was, like, shaming their audience over, like, not donating $5 or subbing for $5. I saw people passing around these tweet links, and, like, she clearly was able to recognize then, like, hey, a lot of people that watch you might not be in the best financial situation, but that doesn't mean you need to be, you know, nasty to them about it, or make them feel bad about it, or try and shame them or insult them. But then 3 years later, she just did. I don't know how this is going to play out for the future of her new snack company. It's definitely not a great start, not really hitting the ground running. A bit of a stumble here, I would say. But I guess who really knows? Maybe her audience responds really positively to this kind of thing. I'm not certain. Personally, I feel it's a terrible look. I've never really respected when people try and look down on others who have less money than them or insult them for, you know, not being as wealthy as they are. I think that is just absolute trash behavior. So this was a pretty surprising clip to see floated around today. That's really about it. So yeah. There's a crazy clip from Pokimane's stream going viral right now that I really want to talk about, but it also made me want to speak on a story I've never told about an experience I've had that's somewhat similar to the one she describes here, at least in terms of creepiness. And, well, now I finally have a reason to get that baby off my chest here, so that's gonna be cathartic. Let's dive in.
Many, many years ago, when I was like super omega active on YouTube and I was working with a lot of different editors, there was one editor in particular that I would work with a lot because his edits were really, really good, but he had one major problem, which was that sometimes out of nowhere his videos would just be like a week or two late. Months go by and he messages me out of the blue and he says, "Hey, do you have time to talk? I'm ready to finally tell you why I've been struggling so much with deadlines."
In the history of the human race, I don't think there has ever been a good ending to the sentence, "Hey, do you have a minute to talk?" That always precedes the most vile shit you'll ever hear in your life. I can't even imagine a situation where you'd hear that sentence and think anything other than the most negative thing you'll ever hear is about to happen. Like, imagine you're in heaven and the Lord pulls you aside right in front of the pearly gates and he says, "Hey, you got a minute to talk?" Well, you immediately assume you're just going to hell. Like, there's just no world where that sentence ever precedes good news.
Tell me why he proceeds to tell me that the reason why he would sometimes turn around videos a week or two late is because he couldn't stop touching himself. I was trying to pick which word to use. To me, his, in a way, employer of many, many months.
Stop for a second and really let that stew in your noodle. Let it marinate for a bit. How Coomer-brained must you be not only to do this degenerate act of just fucking beating your meat to a streamer's gameplay footage that you're editing, but then tell her that the reason you're late on some of the edits is because you can't stop squeezing your hog to the footage that she sends you. There are so many layers to this onion here. Let's just start by picking apart the most obvious. Why? Now, I know in the most severe cases of porn addicts, they'll sometimes try and communicate directly to the porn star by, like, leaving comments or sending messages or whatever, and that's always the saddest shit you'll ever see. That'll bring a tear to even the strongest man's eyes. Occasionally you'll see those moments where dudes try and directly communicate to the porn star, leaving comments on their posts saying things like, "Can't wait to watch this one when I'm off work," or "When my wife goes to bed, that's when the bad boy will play. Thanks for providing me with tonight's entertainment," whatever. Like, just leaving these desperate posts, you know, cock in hand, giving a salute, like, "Thank you, madame, for your service. This will be a legendary gooning sesh." But even in those cases, they're communicating with someone they don't know. This guy was her editor for many months. And he was not only jerking off to the content he was being sent, which was just gameplay videos, I imagine, or like just chatting stream moments, nothing even sexual, and he was still choking the chicken to it, fucking playing the skin flute, and then had the gall to tell her that he was doing that is just incomprehensibly unhinged. She was his boss. She was employing him. So he basically went right through HR, bypassed that protocol, went straight to the top of the food chain, kicked in the door, and said, "Listen, boss, I'm fucking obliterating my wiener, and what are you gonna do about it? That's why I've been late on my deadlines." Like, I don't think he came in with that energy. I bet he was, like, super shy about it. He was probably like, "Oh, Pokimane, so I know I've been kind of late recently, but it's only because I was, ooh, how do you say, jerking off to your work."
When I tell you I've never halted a conversation so fast, because I'm like, you are the person that I send like hours of footage to. I don't want to know what you're jacking it to. I don't want to know more. I shouldn't even know how much I know right now. I shouldn't know.
I'd actually argue that it's better she did know this, no matter how awful it is, but that way she can get the fuck away from this weirdo ASAP. Just say, "Take a hike, Buster. This is fucking terrible."
But I felt so bad. So when he's like, you know, like, this is like an addiction of mine, I genuinely felt really, really bad. So I still paid him for months. What the hell do I do? Fire him? Am I even allowed to fire someone because they're...
That's definitely towards the top of the list for the best reasons to fire someone. That actually might be reason number one why you could go ahead and can somebody. Because they can't stop fucking beating their cock to you, their employer. And they're also not doing their job well by being 1 to 2 weeks late. Which, by the way, is a long time of just fucking gooning here. This degenerate would miss his deadlines by a week or even up to 2 weeks because he was obsessively polishing his scepter to his employer. You 100% can and should fire someone like this. It's not like the Better Business Bureau is going to defend him. You're not going to have agents show up at your door knocking and be like, "Hey, listen, we know what happened here. You discriminated against this kind, gentle sir. You fired him just because he was obsessively masturbating to you. Well, I'll have you know this is a free country, ma'am. This is a civilized society. You can't fire someone for that. There's no crime. What is the charge? Busting a nut? An immaculate, gooey nut? This is democracy manifest." Like that just wouldn't happen. But I actually understand why she was hesitant to do that. And this is where I'm going to get into a story I don't think I've ever told. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Where I had something somewhat similar happen a long time ago. Not to this level, but something closely related. So a while back, I used to just accept any voice acting role I was offered by any human being with a pulse on the planet. If they said they needed voice lines done, I would do them for free just because I really enjoyed doing it. It's actually how I met Jackson, and if you have ever watched the official podcast, you'll know that our X-Men origin story between Jackson and I's friendship is that Jackson actually scammed me through this process. He sent me an email asking if I'd be down to do voice work for his upcoming game, and then sent me like some in-game screenshots and promotional screenshots that were actually just Dark Souls images that he photoshopped to fit his game style that he tried to sell me on. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm definitely down to do voice work. And it turns out he never had that game, he just wanted to play games together, and we did, and ended up becoming extremely close friends, and now we make God Slap together. Like, he's been a friend of mine for almost a decade now, and it came from that. But there's definitely a dark side to that. The Sith Lords definitely did exploit that very stupid thing I used to do, just accepting any voice acting roles ever from anybody. So I think this was after I had met Jackson and after we were friends. I can't quite remember the exact chronological timeline here, but I received a very interesting email from a very peculiar man that under any other circumstances probably would have triggered red flags in a sensible person's mind, but for me, I saw the word like voice acting opportunity and I was like, I'm in. Say no more. So I emailed him back saying that I was absolutely down to do this and when should we get to work on it. So We communicated back and forth a little bit and eventually set up a Skype call, because this is when Skype was still popular. I think one of the best things that's happened in modern day is that Skype has died. That was legitimately just like fucking official malware. That was the worst program that ever saw success, and I am embarrassed that it ever got as popular as it did. But this was a different time and day back then. So we went in Skype and we had our first voice call a couple days after that initial email came through. And it wasn't like super weird. He conducted himself pretty professionally. He was trying to tell me about the game. I don't remember all the details around it. It was a game that never was going to happen, though. It was unbelievably ambitious. It was some kind of like MMO hack and slash with like a super deep branching plot lines, all made by him, the solo dev. He was just spamming every buzzword he could about this game, but again, it didn't matter to me because it was voice acting work, and I wanted to get the reps in. And so I just said, yeah, like, I'm super on board. Let's stay in contact. You can send me the script and whatever else you need. And that was kind of the end of our, like, introductory call. And man, did I open Pandora's box. Pretty much immediately after that call, he would start messaging me on Skype often. And it wasn't about the project all the time. Sometimes it was just about his day, which I would engage with. I'd be like, oh, it's really interesting to hear about how your day's been going. Thanks so much for sharing. And then he'd start tiptoeing into like some other small talk. It started to feel like he was interrogating me sometimes, where he'd be like, so what'd you do today? And I'd tell him, be like, oh, so like, you didn't really respond earlier. I thought you were just doing something really important, but you were just hanging out at home? That's kind of weird. Like, what, are you sure that's all you're doing? I was like, brother, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm just not like always on Skype. He's like, oh, no, that's fine. You just didn't respond to me. And then he'd start gradually asking more and more questions, like questions you would ask someone on like the most awkward first date imaginable if you were some kind of Reddit mod. He'd be like asking me certain things like about anime and just like general interests and shit. And this is right before I had graduated college. I was still in college because I remember he was asking me about how my schooling was going. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's going well. How's your project going? And he'd tell me some shit that I know wasn't happening. He's like, oh yeah, I got a lot of work done today on the game. I was in C# really just fucking in my flow state. Like, I took like the limitless pill, and man, I programmed fucking 15 trees, and I have 17 actors doing mocap for me, and they're all martial arts specialists, so the hack and slash animations are top notch. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Do you have like that script or anything ready? He's like, oh, it's still being worked on. And then he just keep kicking that can down the road and change the topic, like, but enough about the game. Tell me about exercise physiology. What's that like? It's like, brother, you're not my mom. Like, why are you checking in like this? I don't care. And we're not really like close or anything. So why would you get upset if I don't like respond to you in a timely enough fashion? Like, it was just a disaster. So this went on for like a few weeks of this kind of stuff happening every couple of days, and I was ready to just wash my hands of it and just say, all right, this voice work isn't worth, I'm not getting the juice isn't worth the squeeze, as they say. So I kind of just started to let that peter out. I'd really very rarely respond to him, so he'd send me like a few messages over the course of like a week or two that I just would ignore. And then it got really bad. This guy was sending me, like, deep messages, and some of them just very unsettling. And then he eventually sent me a message talking about how he's about to end it all. And, he doesn't expect me to respond since I haven't responded in so long, but he just wanted me to know how much our friendship meant to him and all that. And I fucking freaked out, immediately responded to that when I saw it. And then he once again just switched gears and was like talking about my day and his day and this and that. And once again, just going down this small talk and then like interrogating me like, well, why haven't you been responding? So that I had to come up with a story like, oh, just haven't been checking Skype for the last few weeks, just stuff going on. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah, I'm sure. And then getting upset and whatever. I recommended him getting like professional help, which he claimed he was doing and seeking, but it wasn't really working. The only thing that really helped him was our little chit-chats back and forth. So obviously I kept that door open, and luckily the frequency of his messages was much slower, so over the course of a few months now, the messages were far less often. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it still just felt miserable to keep this communication open. It felt like a hostage situation where, like, if I didn't respond, he might do something, and it was scary. And as this continued for quite some time, he'd make threats occasionally of harming himself if I didn't respond in like a fucking speedrun fashion to one of his messages. When I got into a relationship, he sent a really creepy message about like, well, is it serious? Why is it serious? What do you see in her? That kind of thing. Like, it was all really alarming shit. And I'm not going to keep boring you with details here, but similar to how Pokimane didn't immediately fire that guy because she like felt bad for him or was like a little afraid of what might happen or whatever, it's easy to take a step back when you're not involved in it and just be like, oh, this is what you should have done. But when you're actually in one of these like really weird fucking situations on like a personal level here, it's just a little harder to do that. So I do understand that, but again, definitely the right course was firing that guy. In my situation, eventually what I did was I just stopped responding. If he did send me one of those messages, I would reply just telling him he needs professional help, and I won't talk further about these kind of things with him because I am not a professional. I'm not equipped to deal with that or handle that or help him in any way. He needs real help. And that would be how I'd respond to those messages when he sent them, and he eventually stopped. But that went on for a long time. But yeah, anyway, just kind of wanted to talk about all this. That's about it. See ya.